but it's worth it for the power, at least until something new comes out. So now we pretty much have our shopping cart. A max level boost, a full complement of companions, a mount for now, a weapon enchantment, our choice of armor enchant, and a decent artifact, along with a new race and some bags. Everything we need to dominate right out the gate, all for the nice affordable 64,962 Zen price tag. And remember, this is during a time when some of the items we've chosen are 30% off, so this is cheaper than it should be. So how much is this going to cost us? Well, the biggest Zen pack you can buy is 24,000, and that costs you £166, so we'd need to buy this pack 3 times to get all the Zen we'd need. So, if I spent £498 or $663 right now, I could start the game at max level with high-level companions, mounts, artifacts, an exclusive overpowered race, 10 lockbox pull attempts, more inventory space, with campaigns either already completed or boosted for me. If we both started this game at the same time, but I spent £500,000 on it, I would instantly jump months ahead of you, and there is nothing you could do about it. But it gets worse. What if, even with all my power, I still die to a boss? Not a problem. You can spend Zen and buy a Scroll of Life, which just gets you back up, like putting another coin in an arcade machine. You can buy 500 Zen for $5, so in a boss fight you can basically pay $1 to get back up whenever you want. But don't worry, the boss you're fighting doesn't heal, meaning you can literally throw money at this game until you win. But what if that's too selfish? How about a Scroll of Mass Life, which gets your entire team back up? So if you have a whale on your team, you can never lose. Does this mean you could throw an undergeared team at the most powerful boss in the game and just keep using Scrolls of Mass Life until it died? Well, yes, because many years ago, I did exactly that. But we're not done yet. Weapons, armor, artifacts, and weapon enchantments need to be refined, and refining points drop very slowly in the game. But don't worry, you can just buy some refining points. But be careful, when you refine anything, it might break, and you'll lose your expensive reagents. So why not buy a Coalescent Ward for 700 Zen, which guarantees the refining process will succeed. You'll only need to refine about 20 items or weapons or enchantments or gems or artifacts, about 5 times each when you get to the really low chances of success. That means we'll need about 100 Coalescent Wards to max out a character. That's only 70,000 Zen. That's over £500 again, but don't worry about it, it's worth it. Well, it will be, until the new expansion releases and makes your max level armor irrelevant, because the uncommon items from the newest expansion are often better than the mythic items from the previous because of power creep. But we're still not done. Because after spending over £1,000, you should probably grab the monthly VIP upgrade. This is a prestige system, and for every month you buy, you'll advance 1 rank. Important to note, it doesn't matter how many months you've been a VIP, it's how many months you buy. So if you buy the 12-month VIP sub right now, you will start the game and remain at rank 12 until the sub runs out. So let's see what you get for the VIP ranks, shall we? Remember, the higher ranks get all the benefits of the lower ranks as well. They add up. If you're a rank 3 VIP, everyone in your party gets plus 1% total HP. And this stacks. Another reason having a paying player in your party literally makes you more powerful. At rank 4 VIP, you can open the world map and just fast travel from wherever you are, instead of having to do that pesky adventuring thing and find the edge of the map you're currently on, like a loser. At rank 7, you're completely immune to injuries. Normally, setting off a hidden trap or falling in battle gives you an injury, a small stats debuff, and you need to use an injury kit or wait at a campfire to heal. But no, rank 7 VIPs just don't get injured. You've paid more money. You don't need to be inconvenienced by things like immersion or mechanics. And at rank 12, you get everything. No posting fees on the auction house, discounts in the Astral Diamonds store, and oh, you can summon your bank from anywhere, so storage is never ever an issue, because returning to the bank is such a poor person thing to do. You have transcended the need to be anywhere. Everything comes to you. You can open a shop immediately. You can open a bank immediately. So how much is this going to cost you? Well, a 6-month VIP upgrade is going to cost you 3,570 Zen, which, wouldn't you know it, is just only very slightly more expensive than the 25 Zen pack, meaning, oh no, you've got to spend a little bit more than the preset pack, so you may as well go up to the £42 pack. But you'll need to buy that twice if you want 12 months. If you're watching this and thinking, yeah, but you could just grind for Astral Diamonds in the game and get all that stuff legit through gameplay, yeah, I know you can. I did it for 3 years. I completed every single campaign. I got almost every mount, every companion. I upgraded all my artifacts. I was at the top. And then every new expansion reset me to the middle. I made an entire video about how this works, and I had to grind and pay again. You spend 6 months refining your best in slot weapon only for a new dungeon to release, and then you discover the trash mobs in the first room drop a better one. That was the Neverwinter experience. But let's be thorough. Remember how there's a Zen to Astral Diamond exchange? This means you can grind dungeons, get Astral Diamonds as rewards, and exchange them for Zen in the game. So there is a way to get Zen by just playing the game, right? Well, kinda right, but let's look at the practicality. First, remember there's an in-game refining limit of only gaining 100,000 Astral Diamonds a day. So let's imagine you managed to play the game, and you earned 750 Astral Diamonds, and you put an offer on the exchange to buy 1 Zen. How long would that offer take to be fulfilled? Well, a while, because there's a bit of a backlog, at least on PC. Currently, there is a 65.8 million Zen buy request backlog, meaning even if you did put an offer in to buy Zen for the maximum price, you would need to wait for all 65.8 million previous requests to be fulfilled. To put that into perspective, this means right now on PC, in order to fulfill the entire 65.8 million Zen backlog, you would need to buy the £166 pack 2,742 times, which would cost you £455,000, the better part of $600,000, and earn you 49.3 billion Astral Diamonds. If you are still going to defend Neverwinter and still say it's not pay to win, consider this. No matter how long you've been playing or how skilled you think you are, I could spend enough money to be more powerful than you within the hour, and I could beat you in PvP even with my aging reactions because of pay to win. Look, I love this game. It holds a very dear place in my heart, and I'll always smile whenever I think about it. And I still think the journey from start to finish is one of the best action combat MMO journeys you can go on. It's worth playing for the main adventure alone, but I don't like what it has become. It saddens me to see the laziness in development become so overt, and it angers me, because I remember knowing, not thinking, but knowing that this game could be so much better if they stopped being so greedy. Neverwinter used to have possibly the best thing I ever saw in any MMO, something called the Foundry. It was a player-driven creation kit. Players could make their own dungeons or stories or levels and then upload them, and then you and your friends could play through them together, and they were some of the best experiences I've ever had online. I remember when someone made a Lovecraftian Cthulhu-inspired Haunted Mansion one that took you to the other world. And then the level Tired of Being the Hero, where you betrayed your friends and kept the ancient power and fought through the good guys coming to stop you. It was inspired. Even the dumb jumping ones like trying to join the Goblin Special Forces or becoming a spy and travelling deep down into the world, going through assault courses. They were silly but great, which is what D&D is. If anyone ever says to you, oh, I wish there was an MMO where you could make your own adventures and go on them with friends, there was. It was called Neverwinter. It was fantastic and they killed it. Because this today, this isn't what it was. This isn't a shadow of what it once was. Neverwinter is like having a great D&D group for a few years and going on some great adventures. Then as it goes on, the DM starts asking you to pay a little bit more and a little bit more. Then your equipment gets worse. Then they retcon old adventures. Then they reuse a map you've already explored and insist it's new. And you stay because you remember it being good. But if you were to take an objective step back and a look at your group as it is now, you'd never even start. I love you, Neverwinter, and I always will, but I can't support this. Part of me hopes this isn't goodbye. Some naive part of me hopes you can change and return to your former glory with player-made maps, multiple campaigns, earnable currency, balanced PvP. Fun. But another more grounded part of me knows it's probably best if I move on. Probably best I forget. Because holding on to the memory of when you were good just makes it even worse when I look at you now. You've been great, Neverwinter, but I think maybe it's time for me to gather my party, and venture forth away from you. So to end this review, I will award Neverwinter. This review score will cost you 3,500 Zen out of 10. Thank you for watching. Thank you again to the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, and the second channel, Josh Strife Plays, where I replay old games voted on by you. And as always, have a great day.
Oh, no way. I'm so sorry. Can you guys hear me now? Always with the scuffed audio. I'm really sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. So you didn't hear what I said, right? Yeah, we're about to do some 3-man dungeons, guys. I know we're kind of crazy, but we're trying to take every precaution possible. I think Oni buff is supposedly going to drop here in a second. And they'll be heading to DM, and then also, hopefully after Dead Mines we can do some more too, like go right into Wailing Caverns, maybe SFK. Oh yeah, there's definitely gonna be a head dropping. Show gear? Sure thing. Yeah, I can show the gear. I heard Drinky put a bounty on Tactics. If you or Grace get him killed tonight, he'll donate 5K. What? I mean, I'm sure they'd die for 5K. These are low-level characters. These aren't even super high characters, but that's not in the spirit of it. We'll just try our best, right? So I can show you the gear. The gear is not great. It's really not. It's slim pickings out here in hardcore, man. I mean, I'm still using the flail, the white weapon flail, but I'm a pretty good level right now. I'm going in pretty much to max level you can go into DM. 23 and 75% right now. So the thing is that's going to make this spicy is that we're 3-manning it, right? And we're 3-manning it without a healer. 3-manning it if you had a healer and a tank, I mean, it's no problem. You'd get through it. But the crazy thing here is we're going double DPS and just a pally. So Grace is going to be on Mage. Tactics is going to be on Rogue. And, you know, Tactics is a good Rogue, but he's level 18 on the dot. He's going to have... He's in speedrun gear, right? So the Rogue is going to not have much. So the interesting thing is, I've always... kind of wanted to do something like this, but I never tried it. I'm gonna have to take care of myself in the dungeons. So we're gonna have to count for every kick, every knockdown, everything that's gonna stop. So we just got Oni head. Huge. Hell yeah! Let's go to Dead Mines. This is gonna be super fun to watch. I'm so glad you think so. Yeah, I think it should be a good time. There really is a decent chance of death here, though. You know, if we pull 4-5 and it's just me, I'm taking all the damage and I'm healing. If you get knocked down, you know, some mobs like the goblins, they'll knock you down. You can't really bubble or anything. It's almost like you can't interact with your character at all.
Be careful.
So if I get low and I start casting a heal, I'm gonna have to eat through some bashes for sure, right? So like what I've learned is that you cast the heal early, so that they bash you early, so then you can recover with healing, as opposed to later. There's all types of stuff. We'll get into it. It'll be a fun time. Yo, I'm pumped, dude. This is gonna be great. Oh, you're just joking about Drinky? Oh, I got you, man. Yeah. Did Gray's Druid die? No, his Druid made it to 60. Here, let me just show this stream real quick on the Discord. Alright, so I'll show you the talent specs we are right now too. We're holy, so we have consecration. We have spiritual focus. Without this talent, we wouldn't be able to do this. Wouldn't even be close. So we do have 100% pushback resistance now. As of level 22, you can get that. But you can still be kicked. You can still be knocked down. You can still be counterspelled. All those things. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I have limited mana pool. 750 mana. That's not a ton of mana. Let me practice here for a second, actually, since we're in West Wall. I'm gonna get in West Wall. Let me show you what my rotation is gonna be on some knolls real quick as I make my way over there. Just so we get warmed up here. So concentration aura, ret aura, Evo aura, 56 water. That should be enough for a DM. Seal of Justice.
Fresh meat.
How the hell is this gonna work? Hey, what's up, Herder? Yeah, we'll have to see. Do you just need GM verification? You have to record as well, man, because there's other rules other than that. And the GMs, it's a little bit janky. Sometimes they don't help you out. You just have to keep spamming them. Alright, so I'm going to show you, like, the general rotation. I'm going to AoE down, like, some knolls. These knolls are giving XP, too, in Westfall. Not much XP, but just as a little practice as we wait for them to make their way over here. Got your first Pally YouTube VOD recommended to me the other day, and I've been hooked since. Watch through your VODs of this current Pally and excited to see how today goes to the dungeons. Thank you so much, Shabbat, for the nice words. And Nessek with 100 bits and the lucky charm. You'll love to see it. So let's take out this Dole pack, shall we? Oh, not all these are going to be gray. The 16s will be gray, but the 17s and the 18s and the 19s will be green still. So this isn't the full gray pack. I just want to make that clear. Like, these mobs are going to be granting experience. And our gear, quick gear check right now is pretty dog shit. I'm going to remove some of the guys on the periphery. Just because Pallies, you don't really AoE mobs that run away. Because if they run away, it'll just take forever to kill them. They're going to run away, they're not going to die or consecrate, and they're going to go aggro other mobs. So generally all the AoE grinding spots as a Pally are mobs that don't run. Stuff like spiders, oozes, things like that. Beasts. But I'll show you the gear. I mean, we have Flying Tiger goggles. Again, not that great. It's okay. I was hoping to get the rank 2 ones, but I just didn't quite have enough materials. The shoulders is the best thing about our whole gear. I picked this up in the wetlands from that vendor I was telling you about. So good. This is the best thing by far I have. It's probably the highest armor piece I have. This cloak dropped as well, which was huge. 2 and 3 stam is amazing because you can't really find mail gear or plate gear unless you're super lucky that has any kind of int on it. And I would normally itemize for stam int if I'm tanking dungeons, but there's really none to be obtained. So then we got, you know, just greens on level 14, level 12, not the greatest greens, you know, low teens gear. I threw on some armor kits because you get a couple from a quest, and then we're using just this white flail, level 20 vendor item, and the shield we got is from the Pally class quest. Yeah, I've been leveling off stream, Omega. Cargo's a big fan. I've been so excited for this run. The best of luck, mate. Thank you so much. You guys are in such good spirits today. Thank you for the support and the kind words, everybody. All right, so let's give it a shot. We'll throw on Righteous Fury. Let's pretend we're in the dungeon with the boys right now. So we're gonna start in Retribution Aura. I'll just throw up Seal of Righteousness. Tick back up to 100 before I even do anything. I'm not gonna go in there without paying 100. Where's the Taskmaster at? Should be a Taskmaster. Yeah, this is the Taskmaster. So this guy's gonna bloodlust everybody else around him. So we gotta kill that guy first. So we're just gonna run in and just... I'm not even gonna waste mana on a Judgment. I'm just gonna throw the Consecrate down and make sure they're all in front of me. So now I'm gonna do one more Consecrate and heal myself. One more Consecrate. Now we're gonna swap Concentration Aura. Heal. And we swap back red. Consecrate. So what was that? 3 consecrates and a holy light, and we were fine. We had enough mana for it. We're just trying to spread the damage out evenly now. We're gonna have enough for 1 more consecrate. That should be enough to kill them all. See how they're still giving XP too? They're greens. I mean, that's what we're looking at. So, you know, one thing that I didn't really do there, that I'll probably do in the dungeon, is if, like, I'm really squishy and I'm taking a lot of damage, I'm not going to go sit in Retribution Aura. I'm going to sit in Devo Aura. And I'll just use Retribution just long enough to get a decent threat lead. And then I'll swap over to Devo Aura. Are there mobs in Dead Mines that will kick your heals? Yeah, there are. There are. There are mobs at Knockdown. Yeah, there's all that spooky shit in Dead Mines. So that's the real threat of death, because, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but if you were knocked down, you can't bubble, right? I don't think you could in the past. You almost get... It's like being stunned, you know, when you get knocked down. The thing is, you might be able to... Can you bubble out of a stun? I feel like you might be able to. But yeah, I feel like you can't do anything when you get knocked down. Keep an eye out for the Guardian Buckler. It's actually as good as this. I bought the one there, in Lakeshire, and this is slightly worse. This Bastion of Stormwind, because it has defense. The other one had Stam Spirit, right? That Guardian Buckler, but this one looked cooler, so I decided to use this one. Because the other one looks like a little dinky shield. This one makes me feel more paladin-y. But I mean, they're right. They have the exact same block value, exact same armor. Remember to be gallons of water. Yeah, I got 55. 55 waters. That's good.
Safe travels.
Knockdown is a stun. Yeah. You can bubble out of a knockdown? Okay, that makes you feel way better. So the thing is, too, if I bubble, we're going to lose all the threat, right? So, like, I have to, like... I mean, that's really good news. Like, yeah, the fact that I can bubble out of a knockdown, if you guys are pretty sure about that, I mean, I feel way safer. Just because I can recover from that. If I'm low and I get knocked down and I'm, like, 20% and I get knocked down, I'm not just going to die in that knockdown. I can bubble out of it and recover. Any level 60 paladins hit? Yeah, actually, 2 paladins hit 60 in the past 2 days. Let me see if they're hitting me up on Discord yet. Let me call these dudes. So you guys know Tactics, LOL, and Grace for Days, right? Yeah, it's Age of Empires music, Nicholas. We're going to be running with Tactics and Grace for Days, so that's going to be really fun. You know, people are going to, you know, recognize the voices, recognize people from their respective streams as well. It should be a really good time.
Let's go!
Is that Grace from All the Sucking Days?
All the Sucking Days.
What's up, brother?
I don't want to lose my 21 mage.
I got you, bro. I'm not trying to lose this pally right now after dying at 17, dude.
Hey, how you
But
doing?
we're pushing it, right? Everybody, I've got a bunch of doomers in my chat. Everyone's mad that we got the Oni buff. And I told them it just makes us pull more.
Bro, you know we have no healer, right? You know we have no healer, right? With remanning, and it's not even double mage. Like, we don't really have the greatest synergy. Tactics is 18. He probably has Grays on from the starting zone, bro. Because he speedrun. He probably had. Actually, check when he comes. He's probably gonna have like brawlers gloves or whatever you start with as a rogue.
I figured Tactics by this time would have had, you know, best in slot greens, knew all the vendor items. What did it take him, like 3 hours to hit level 18? After he died 2 times?
Right, exactly.
I don't know. We'll see what Tactics can do, but... I mean, I'm on a mage that I've never played before. You seem pretty confident with your paladin.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident on Pally.
Tactics is on his rogue, which is his main, but I mean, how much
So
can I level...
what goodies are you bringing to the table, man, for this run? Anything spicy?
Yeah, let me throw it in the chat. So I've got 17 target dummies. Oh no, we're not in a party. Hang on. Let's make the party.
You're on your way over here?
I'm already here.
Oh, you're here?
Yeah.
Well, okay then.
And the number there.
Yo, Tactics Law, level 18 already. Started his rogue this morning.
Alrighty then.
But I'll ding 18 for when I deliver.
Oh, wow, okay. And you're gonna get your 18 skills?
There's nothing. I already looked. It's Scout upgrade.
Are you still using the starting zone items, man?
I'm okay. My gear's not too bad. I can show. Look.
You guys are both here already?
Like I said, I got the hammer and a 2 edgy offhand. Then I got a 5 edgy boots. So, yeah.
Looking Blaze for days, yo. I don't know. There's something so hilarious about the way you look, bro. Look
Hey,
at
so
him
you know-
dancing, table dancing, bro. Fucking
You know-
Blaze, man.
You know, if I hit level 60, I've got to RP my character, right? You know what that means?
Oh, you're gonna grow stash out and curl it up? You're gonna go hit up what is that man beard shop, yo? Get the fucking beard cream, the art of
know.
grooming or whatever.
Yeah, I might have to get some Bosley for my face. I don't know if I can grow a stash like that, but I can definitely do the other part. Looks like somebody pulled my underwear over my head and just left the band, dude, on the shiny bald gnome head.
Yo, you're kind of set, bro. You got a ring drop. Like, this staff is really good. 7 stamp on it.
Got the Greater Magic Wand. Look in the
Magic
party
Wand.
chat. That's what I'm bringing in engineering. So I got 17 target dummies, copper bombs, rough copper bombs. Not the most damage, but I've got a stun.
Okay, I'm assuming tactics has nothing, right? Because you've just been leveling so hard.
Nothing at
there.
all. Like, you just-
Okay. Okay.
I had target dummies and bombs and all that, and then I died.
What is your spec right now?
I'm combat. So yeah, I've improved gouge, and then I have 2% hit.
Okay, and you don't have cheap or kidney, right?
No, I have sap.
Okay. All right then, let's do this. Let's do this. The level 17 rogue. Let's go. I'm excited.
Do not.
Just bursting from the seams with utility. Oh man. No, we're gonna be good. So yeah, just to let you guys know what I came to party with. I got 23 healing potions, which is the best potions I have access to. Lesser mana potions, got 9 of them. Got 2 of the minor potions. Got dynamite. Got explosive rockets from that quest. Wool band-aids. 10 target dummies. I have more in the bank. So I'm lacking on spirit food. I only have 2, but I figure I'll use them during the hardest parts of the dungeon.
I got
Yeah.
4.
How do you handle VC ads? I don't know how we're gonna handle them. I think we're just gonna target dummy to victory pretty much.
I think we
Blaze
cleared
for days and
everything around, like a kilometer away, and then we kite around, jumping up and down, and with target dummies.
Look at this fucking ninja right here, chat. Look at this little fucking gremlin right here, rubbing his hands together, just looting chests. No roll. Taking a main hand upgrade for me. No, I'm joking. It's bad.
No, that was probably an upgrade for, or not. They can't use.
God, your character looks pretty funny though. I have to say.
It looks like. I mean, it's everything you would expect me to be, right?
Everything I would expect you to be.
So, a little bald gnome with a curly Q mustache. Yeah, this was my. So I played a warrior with this exact same design when I was 9, and I had to bring it back.
Hell yeah.
Bring it back.
So do you have all the quests and everything too, Dax?
Every single one, yeah. I have 5. I think that's more.
I've only got 1. Tactics coming through.
How's Shadow?
Okay, man. I can't wait to get in there. Actually, I'm pretty nervous, but in the best possible way. What do you guys think, Chad? You think we're gonna make it? 3 men. So you have to just try to think about this. We're 3-manning dead mines. I'm 23, so I'm pretty much as high as I can be. And I have my gear though. I have to say my gear is bad. Is that safe to say, chat? Like my gear is dog shit. I'm using a white flail. Some level 20 class quest paladin thing. I have level 12, 13, 14, 15 gear. Shoulders are good, but my gear is pretty dog shit. Level 23. The tank and the healer. We have a 21 mage, which is like, you're the most useful person in here, man, I swear. And we got a 18 rogue now.
I've never played mage, so fair warning. We'll see. I don't know how much you expect out of me.
We'll be able to tell pretty quick once we get in there if this is going to be a colossal failure. So what's going to kill us? What's going to kill us in my mind is if there's someone who knocks down. I don't know if you guys know the mobs in here. I feel like the goblins, those woodcutters, they knock down for sure, and the same with the goblins in the foundry room. They knock down. I'm not sure if the Defias patrols and stuff, if they kick.
I'm scared of pets. Like, if we pull something and then the 3 pets comes at one point and kills us. So I think we need to run back sometimes to ensure that doesn't happen.
So, do you have bandages tactics at all?
Yeah, linen.
So, the fact
We
that
have enough for wool.
Go ahead.
Have enough for wool bandage.
Oh, yeah.
We have 63, so.
Covert Game says he gave 100 bits. He said, "Y'all are dead as hell, but have fun."
I'm out of range. It's too far away. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. I need to get closer. I'm out of range. I need to get closer. It's too far away. Need assistance? You have a great day now.
What do you need? Go forth to victory.
Ah, potential customer. I got what you need! Glad I could help.
You got my attention? Watch your back. Here there. Off with you.
to have the assassin appear using an invisibility effect before casting Paralyze on the player. As to the former, well, it would take a complete rewrite of this opening to fix the problem that the tutorial giving us the Amulet of Kings creates. The problem, for those unaware, is that the player is effectively handed a permanent and constant reminder of the main quest. Theoretically, you should be able to leave the tutorial and go off to live whatever life you want, as you could in Morrowind. The orders to go to Caius Casades can be dropped and ignored at any time, and even if you do the first quest given to the player, Caius will tell you to go off and get some experience before giving you the next quest anyways. The main quest of Morrowind is voluntary from a role-playing perspective, making it easy to justify ignoring to go off exploring. In Oblivion, however, you are heavily pushed towards pursuing the main quest. Even if you do as the Emperor asks and deliver the amulet to Joffrey, he'll immediately push you into the next quest at Kvatch. This is where someone will proudly announce that despite their numerous hours in Oblivion, they've never done the game's main quest. I'm not sure why people feel compelled to keep mentioning that they haven't. I suppose as some kind of praise of how much they enjoy playing the game that they haven't even done the questline that marks an arbitrary end of the game. I mean, the main quest is in the middle of this review, so you can tell that I don't really consider it the end either. Just because you ignored the urgent crisis of this game doesn't mean I can justify doing so. Although Jake Decker over at GameSpot had an interesting take on this.
You can quite literally take Patrick Stewart's words of warning as the ramblings of an old man approaching his death and do whatever the hell you want.
The issue with this, however, is the omniscient pre-rendered cutscene that starts the game with Uriel showing you Oblivion on the march. Morrowind sidestepped the problem of Azura telling you were the chosen one in the opening cutscene by immediately introducing a character who tells you were dreaming. Uriel, inversely, tells you hell is invading and that today he is destined to die, and then the latter comes true. The only way a main quest would be the end of an Elder Scrolls game would be if the central conflict of the main quest is present in all the other quest lines as well, example given being Fallout New Vegas or Morrowind. There's like one quest that isn't part of the main quest line that involves the Oblivion crisis. Otherwise, it might as well not be happening to the perspective of anyone not directly involved in the main quest. I look at role-playing games from a, well, role-playing perspective. And from that perspective, being told that the world is about to end before having an important artifact tied to the fate of the world thrust into my hands is not something I can just ignore, outside of maybe the most irresponsible, skooma-addled degenerate imaginable. A person with even a smidgen of responsibility would recognize the need to participate, if only to preserve their own life. Boris, one of the blades guarding the Emperor, allows us to leave with the amulet as he believes he needs to protect the Emperor's body. This is silly, as not only is the amulet super important, as stated, but I think most people's first instinct would be to assume the person standing over a corpse is the one responsible for the corpsifying, even if temporarily until Boris noticed the dead Mythic Dawn agent. The beautiful thing about a setting with magic is that this can be explained if you try to put the slightest bit of effort into writing. Just say the Emperor used a spell to bind the amulet to us, which can only be broken if the player dies or reaches Joffrey, and that Boris recognizes that the Emperor probably knew something he didn't to go to the effort to entrust the amulet with us. The Emperor was a known practitioner of mysticism magic, after all. After this is a short sequence in the sewers proper, which I question the need for. There's no reason this area couldn't deposit straight into the area right before the surface access tunnel. At this point, the tutorial is over, and not even the most pedantic of nitpickers like myself would have criticized you for killing the Emperor mere feet away from the surface. As it stands, it's just an odd decision to have a couple more enemies before freedom. It could be to test your build, I guess, but this only works once. Anyways, after this we're deposited into Cyrodiil while you are, as the game says, free to set off in any direction. It also makes a point of telling the player to go to Wayne Priory to deliver the amulet. And the amulet will take top billing in the equipment section of the inventory screen, a constant reminder that we're going to ignore for a while. The arena is the first faction of our character, as it takes place almost entirely within the Imperial City Arena. This is, of course, largely referential to the first Elder Scrolls game Arena, which grew past its ambition of simply being an arena fighting game to having an entire world outside the arena to explore. A game set entirely inside an arena would be focused entirely on combat, which arguably isn't to the strength or focus of the series. We'll talk about that in the Fighters Guild section, because it's a bigger all-encompassing problem lying before us, and there's a reason I'm putting it in this section first. The Arena is a simple faction, in that it's basically a series of fights from beginning to end, with one whole quest at the end. This is fine, great even. What's strange about the faction is that despite its simplicity, it never really bothers explaining the fundamental questions of the faction, like who is the yellow team, where did they come from? They seem to share training space with the blue team, but there's only one door up from here, and Owen, the Blade Master, seems to act like there is an opposing side to us, but there isn't. We could say it's all fake, but that doesn't excuse how bare bones the faction really is. Put the raiment on, arrange a fight, wait for the announcer to finish his bit, fight, and then go and get paid. I got the faction done in 2 days. If you do it at a higher level and start as soon as the arena opens, you could feasibly complete it in a single in-game day. So while we do that, let's discuss Oblivion's leveling problem. Oblivion's leveling problem is a central issue tied to almost every aspect of Oblivion. Rather than explaining the problem outright, we're going to work backwards and start with the 3 schools of thought that exist to try and solve the problem. There's actually quite a bit written on this topic, a sign that there simply is no consensus on which school is the best. The first school of thought is simply to ignore the problem. Just play the game. It sounds like a good platitude, definitely something a smug person would say. I bet it looks fantastic on a Twitter post. Indeed, this solution has its benefits. It takes the least thought on the part of the player in terms of their character building. After all, the goal here is to create a system where the player is defined by the skills they use in the game. But the problems become apparent pretty quickly. This has to involve scaling, which is not in fact the biggest problem with Oblivion, although its implementation is definitely a major contributing factor to the leveling problem. Enemies on the road to Vardenfell were scaled, although in Morrowind they were called leveled enemies, which are displayed by these ninja monkeys in the editor. It's why at level 1 you'll encounter a Scrib or Quama Forager, and later you'll encounter higher level monsters like Elites or Kagutis at the same exact spot. It's so subtle that people are prone to making the mistake of claiming that Morrowind has no level scaling at all. This is actually the same scaling system that Oblivion would use. Oblivion just implemented it for everything. And in my opinion, the premise is sound. I don't really have a problem with escalating the threats of the world relative to the player. In Morrowind, enemies would have set levels, so if a low-level player wanders into a high-level area, they'll probably just get killed, and I think that's great because it makes the world feel more lived in. If a bunch of powerful mages are living in a ruin, then they should handily stomp some normal low-level guy who wanders into the area. The way that you make that work with scaling has already been done in Skyrim with the Dragon Priests. These enemies are relatively tougher than everything else around them, so you get the benefits of having enemies be around the same level as the player, while also preserving the fact that some people in the world should stay relatively powerful. The reason scaling largely doesn't work is due to the bracketing system. Rather than a smooth transition, enemies are instead staggered every 3 or 4 levels. This leads to a flow where you start a bracket weak and then get decent against a bracket, only to reach the next one and face a new set of enemies that are, relatively, stronger than the previous bracket's weak stage. You'll spend several levels easily beating on imps before hitting level 8 and running into trolls, who are both tankier and do more damage. By the time you get decent at fighting trolls, they'll be replaced with minotaurs, who are, relatively, tankier and do more damage, who get replaced by ogres, who get replaced by minotaur lords. I've used the word relative several times, and I want to be clear on what it means. Trolls do more damage than imps, that's a given. But they also do more damage relative to what imps did at their respective point in the bracket. An imp probably won't one-shot you when you first encounter them. Ogres and minotaur lords can when you first face them. If you ignore the leveling problem and play how you want to, you'll quickly be overwhelmed by the scaling difficulty of enemies as their damage and health outpace your health and damage. You can solve this problem by turning down the difficulty gradually, but that defeats the purpose of ignoring the problem. Remember, we're not supposed to be thinking about it, we're just supposed to be playing. Adjusting the difficulty slider on the fly is not a good solution to the problem because it means diving into a submenu on the fly to modulate enemy threat levels. I have an audio interface with a volume knob on it that quickly lets me change the volume of the audio in my computer without having to play with the settings or the built-in software volume mixer. I kinda wanted one of those, but just tied to the difficulty in Oblivion. See, the problem can't be solved by turning the difficulty down to easy and just playing that way. Remember, skills level as you use them. What you're seeing on screen is the number of times you have to use a skill in order to max out its level. Base is the default if the skill is not part of your major class or specializations. Major skills are the skills that are part of your class, and specialization are the skills that fall under the part of the RPG trifecta you chose. So, for example, for me to raise my blade skill, which is not in my character specialization or his major skills, to 100, I would have to land 20,435 blows. Now, if I lower the difficulty to the bottom, almost every enemy in the game dies in 1 or 2 hits, delaying my progression that much more. I spent the first hour of the game running around Lake Rumari, picking Nernrit and punching mud crabs to train my hand-to-hand at high difficulty, because in order to train effectively, I need the crabs to survive several hits. And enemies vary wildly in their health. The difficulty that is ideal for fighting monsters and undead is way different than the difficulty that is ideal for fighting conjurers or necromancers. See how much we're thinking about the problem now? So the next argument will be to simply ignore the leveling and keep the difficulty down. But that doesn't work as well because some mechanics are tied behind perks which unlock at higher levels. And ignoring the leveling means we enter another school of thought when approaching Oblivion's leveling problem. The only winning move is not to play. See, a solution to this problem of enemy escalation is simple: don't level. If you watch a video of someone playing Oblivion and they always have this icon next to their compass, it means they're practicing the school of thought. It has its strengths. You no longer have to play with the difficulty because encounters will be somewhat consistent. It doesn't take a lot of thought either. There are a couple quests tied to resting though that you now need to watch out for or tackle early on. If you do end up leveling, you will level very inefficiently, meaning that once you start, you have to commit. Every Daedra quest also has a level requirement, and sacrifices may come from enemies that don't start appearing until higher levels. Gold drops in dungeons and quest rewards are also scaled, meaning that if you do a quest at a low level, you won't be paid very much and quest rewards won't be very powerful. Sigil stones and soul levels will also be restricted here. The most powerful effects only start appearing at level 17, and access to grand souls for custom enchantments will be extremely limited. And you'll be fighting the same couple enemies for dozens of hours. There will be enemy types you simply won't encounter. I don't think there's a way to encounter Landdrag or Spider Daedra unless you level up to the point they start appearing. Training will also be unavailable to the player as it is now capped at 5 times per level. This means some of the more tedious skills to level will either have to be done by hand, fortified during use, or just flat out ignored. See why the leveling problem is so complicated? Pretty much everything is tied together so intricately that approaching the problem in analysis becomes difficult. And so we come to the third and most difficult solution to the Oblivion leveling problem, the solution I chose: min-maxing. Min-maxing Elder Scrolls is nothing new to me. I've done it plenty of times in Morrowind. But Oblivion is a whole other beast. I don't say this lightly or ironically. I think Oblivion is actually kind of evil. Not a malicious, intentional kind of evil, but evil nonetheless. So, min-maxing. It's where we get back to the build I showed earlier as my character and explains why it's such an awful build. Magic specialization. Fine. Endurance and luck is an interesting choice, but mysticism, alteration, speechcraft, marksman, light armor, blunt, and heavy armor? That's a pretty terrible class. The first rule of min-maxing in Oblivion is to throw away the notion that the abilities you plan to use are in your class. For the early game, I was intent on using heavy armor, hand-to-hand, and conjuration. I find that to be a fun combination, yet only one of those skills is in the major spec category. Heavy armor is a skill which falls under the endurance attribute. This is important because heavy armor is effectively being used to control the rate at which I level. It being the only skill I primarily train means I can regulate when I level, allowing me to maximize each attribute allocation. When you level, you gain points to invest into your attributes. In a sense, attributes are like skills in that you raise them by using the skills that belong to them. Endurance is the most important attribute in Oblivion, as it controls the rate at which you gain health. The health you gain per level is your endurance value divided by 10, so if you start at an endurance of 30, you will gain 3 health per level. What this means is that a player who doesn't raise endurance because they are magic or stealth focused will not only have less health than a player who does train endurance, but significantly less health. The chart I'm showing on screen demonstrates this principle. A Breton starts with 30 endurance, a Nord starts with 50. If the Breton player ignores endurance until last, he will be at a significant disadvantage in terms of health compared to the Nord player. Normally this isn't significant, it's not a multiplayer game, so balance doesn't matter. In fact, this is exactly how it worked in Morrowind as well, and it's widely considered not to be a major problem towards that game's leveling system. The difference is that because the enemies of Oblivion scale to both the Nord player and the Breton player at exactly the same rate, and arguably the threat somewhat outpaces characters who don't level endurance, that health disadvantage becomes an extremely noticeable problem. The way this problem manifests is that players who don't min-max their health are going to start noticing enemies that can one-shot them. This chart now reflects the characters if they efficiently level their endurance every level, meaning that every 2 levels they will increase the health gained per level by 1 point. Yes, dividends are a major factor in my investment decisions, and I have made spreadsheets to predict the growth of dividend reinvestment. How could you tell? Min-maxing in Oblivion will require leveling endurance by 5 points per level until you reach the maximum of 100. In order to gain 5 endurance points, you will need to train an endurance skill 10 times per level. Endurance skills are Heavy Armor, Armorer, and Block. By controlling the rate of levels with Heavy Armor, I'm effectively ensuring that each level will raise my endurance by 5 points. At this point, you may be breathing a sigh of relief that I've now explained the problem. Well, don't, because there simply isn't a fast way to explain this problem, and we are far from done. Endurance is only part of this puzzle, solving in part the amount of damage we can take from monsters. The other half is the damage we do to monsters. It's all well and good to be able to take hits, but if we can't do damage to match, then the fighting is going to turn into a slogfest. So, you first have to decide what the primary mode of combat you are going to engage in is going to be, which is 3 categories: magic, archery, and melee. I'd rather put these in their relevant sections, but I have to touch on them here because Oblivion is so interconnected, and this problem really does absolutely touch everything in this game. Magic is simplest. There is no way to increase magic damage via leveling. Yes, really. In Morrowind, skills and attributes were irrelevant to the raw damage a spell does. The way you do more damage with magic is to make more powerful spells. The way you successfully cast more powerful spells is to be better at the magic skill, attribute, luck, and to have a high fatigue. This was changed in Oblivion to address a few things. Spell chance has been removed. There is now a 100% chance of success when casting spells. That change by itself in Morrowind would mean the limiting factor of magic would be magicka, so to compensate, Oblivion added a tiered system of magic to the game. For instance, if you don't spec in Destruction magic, then you'll have a novice level in the skill and be unable to cast the apprentice level spell, Flame Touch. Having enough magicka is not a factor in being able to cast the spell. It doesn't matter if you're the apprentice or the Atronach or an Altmer or Breton. If you don't have the skill, you can't cast that spell. So in summary, if you want to do more damage with Destruction magic, then you need to level Destruction up. Every 25 levels will unlock another tier that does more damage. Willpower is not a factor, and now all it does to influence your damage per second is how fast magicka regenerates. Unless you pick the Atronach sign, in which case willpower is a dump stat. Intelligence will determine your maximum magicka, which can throttle what spells you can use, but since magicka regenerates now, having a large pool isn't as big a factor as simply having enough. Alright, so problems. First, the tier system means that you'll be doing the same amount of damage with spells for a long time before seeing a significant change each time you level. Meaning, if you want to be able to really use magic, you're going to need to use it constantly to make sure it's keeping up with the enemies of the world. Second, Destruction and Restoration. The 2 skills which can do damage directly are both willpower skills, meaning that if you want to raise intelligence efficiently, in addition to endurance, you're going to need to use an intelligence skill a lot, as well as raise your magicka enough to use those better spells. Third, spell costs in Oblivion are way higher than they were in Morrowind, probably because magicka now regenerates during combat. If you build the exact same character I did between games, in Morrowind you'll have around 175 magicka, while in Oblivion you'll have around 300. In terms of 2 spells that do the same amount of damage, however, things wildly differ. In Oblivion, the Flame Touch spell does 25 points of flame damage on touch, costing 46 magicka at Destruction level 33. The exact same spell in Morrowind costs 12 magicka at every Destruction level, as magicka cost in Morrowind is determined by spell effect only and does not factor in skill levels. Now, you might say that the systems aren't directly comparable, and that would be correct. However, what we can compare is the number of casts each character would have. The Morrowind character with 175 magicka would be able to cast Flame Touch 14 times, while the Oblivion character with 300 magicka would only be able to cast Flame Touch 6 times. The difference stems from the fact that, as I said previously, magicka in Oblivion regenerates, unless the player selects the Atronach sign. If our character doesn't select that sign, then they will only have a paltry 150 magicka, or 3 spell casts, before they need to regenerate more. Fourth, yes, there is a fourth point. Remember that skills level based on how often you use them. So the old death spell I used in Morrowind is now a bad idea, because to train your destruction skill, it's better to cast a 3-point damage effect 100 times in combat than a 300-point damage effect once. Not that you would be able to cast that spell anyways, and the limitation of training means we can't boost our magic skills to get up to that point, so it's just not an option. The main takeaway is this. If magic is the way you want to play, you'll have to use it constantly at a difficulty level that allows you to cast a lot but not take too much damage. You'll likely want to efficient level intelligence and willpower in addition to endurance. Oh, we'll get to that. Next, archery. Archery damage is mainly determined by the cumulative weapon rating of the bow and arrow, which itself is determined by agility, marksman, and the durability of the bow. You can see it displayed by this formula. You got all that? It's not actually that complicated. So, if marksman is the way you want to do damage, then you can simply focus on using bows, which will improve your marksman skill, which in turn improves your agility. You'll want to raise your agility 5 times per level in addition to endurance, which means you'll probably need to supplement your agility by using sneak and security. Like destruction magic, hitting more often is more important than hitting hard. So I would avoid the temptation to use poisons or to even use sneak attacks, which may seem odd, but it's important to remember that sneak attacks do not in fact level up your sneak skill, and you'd be doing more damage, which would mean less hits, which would mean less levels. Finally, melee combat. This includes blades, blunt weapons, and hand-to-hand. Melee combat is similar to archery in that damage is determined by weapon rating, which is determined by strength, blade, or blunt, and durability. Hand-to-hand has a separate formula, but otherwise functions the same aside from durability, obviously. So for melee fighters, leveling strength and their skill of choice as fast as possible is important. You would focus on using your preferred weapon as purely as possible, as well as trying to land as many hits with it as possible without dying, so no stealth or power attacks, and no poison. You would also want to use a one-handed weapon as they will swing faster and thus level quicker. Melee weapons take the most amount of uses out of all of the offensive skills to level, but are also the easiest to spam to level. You can land 2 or 3 blows in the time it takes to cast a spell, and 4 or 5 in the time it takes to fire and hit a target with an arrow. Melee fighters have the added benefit, or potentially detriment due to leveling their preferred armor class,